Welcome everyone. Welcome to AML Transformation channel. In this channel, you will find all relevant AML, KYC and fraud concepts explained in a simplified manner. You can use these concepts to crack your AML, KYC or fraud analyst ongoing interview. Many people have got benefited with it. This channel has the testimonies as well as success stories from those people. So please come and enjoy. So today we are going to discuss fraud analyst. What are the basic steps for being a fraud analyst? This fraud analyst training would be international, may be related to international banking. So this is the part 1 of it. So today in part 1 we are going to cover what are the basic requirement for a fraud analyst job, what are the important skill required for a fraud analyst, who can work as a fraud analyst, what is the requirement for a fraud analyst job even though anti-money laundering is being implemented in all the banks, and last, what is the future of fraud analyst jobs after AI comes into play? So we will cover all these things in part 1. So let's go step by step. First of all, the point is what is the requirement for a fraud analyst job? We see fraud analyst job is being posted in international job websites such as Indeed and LinkedIn. We can see it very frequently. So the basic requirement is that you need to minimize the threat and financial exposure that banks and financial institutions are facing through fraud through research. Now how you will do the research? What you will do is that whenever you receive a fraud case, you will refer the earlier fraud case which has happened of the similar manner. You will also take the suggestion and feedback from your SME who is the subject matter expert in TL. By this we can do research and help to solve the case. Other than that, there are various proactive tools and procedure which are being given for effective risk appreciation. Here procedure means SOP, which is standard operating procedure. So we cannot take any case by our will. What we have to do is that we need to follow the SOP for each case, because in an organization in which we are working, we have to maintain the quality as well as the determined SLA for each case. So therefore it is very important to follow the SOP. Now coming next is that we need to prevent, detect and resolve fraudulent activities by the company's policies. After that, we need to develop solution with analytical and operational and technological problems. Whatsoever problems we are facing with these, we need to develop solution with that with the help of professional knowledge. Then we need to have a good understanding of fraud principle, trend and prevention strategies. These things will be incorporated to our knowledge only after having a lengthy discussion with our SME TL and getting through the learning modules which are being assigned to us. After that, we need to also understand the legal requirement and fraud related regulation the company is having towards resolving fraud cases. And last, we need to have good communication skills, good analytical skills and organization skills. These are the basic skills which are required for a fraud analyst job. And last, we need to be multitasking. We should maintain integrity guidelines given by the organization that we shouldn't discuss work outside our regulated channels. After that, if you are coming addressing the second question, what are the important skills that are required for a fraud analyst? Answering to this, first of all, knowledge of some basic tools such as MS Office software which have Word and Excel, and a database asset would be good. Now Word and Excel assets and knowledge is very important, since as a fraud analyst sometimes you have to draft report, sometimes you have to represent data in a pictorial format. Therefore Word and Excel are very important. A database is equally important, such as SQL and Oracle. Adding them or learning them is an added advantage. Coming to that, excellent verbal and written skills are also required for a fraud analyst. For a fraud analyst, even though your knowledge is not that good, but if your communication skills are good, they will hire you. Other than that, analytical, organization and interpersonal, whereas team building skills are required, because as a fraud analyst you have to build up a liaison between the stakeholders and multiple different teams, which could be legal, which could be which could be legal team, which could be a ID verification team, could be a document collection team. You have to build a liaison between all and resolve the cases. Therefore, your communication skill, team building skill, as well as negotiation and conflict resolution skills are very much required. Coming to conflict resolution and negotiation skills, often sometime what happens, more than one case get assigned to you. In those cases, you have to determine the priority. So in that case, your conflict resolution and negotiation skills come into play. In such case, you should always consult your team lead and SME for further guidance. And last, you should also need to know how to deal with enforcement professionals and expert witnesses. It is the reason is that sometimes a complicated case comes, then you need to refer various department, and also sometimes you need to talk with your colleague to find a solution to it. And last, you should be multitasking. You should be maintaining the confidentiality of your process, as well as maintaining integrity of the organization, which is very important skill for a fraud analyst. Now coming to the next question, who can work as a fraud analyst? Now it actually depends on the job requirement, because every organization has the same requirement, but having a college degree or having a graduation degree helps to qualify as a fraud analyst, but it also depends on job description. Now basic knowledge of banking and basic knowledge of cards is also taken as a preference skill if you are working as a fraud analyst. The reason is that fraud analyst, the fraud complaints mostly come from banking institution, and banking institution fraud mostly happen with cards. So basic knowledge of banking, basic knowledge of card is very helpful if you are applying for a fraud analyst job role. Next is good communication skills. Both verbal as well as written communication skills are very important when you are going for fraud analyst. Good report writing skills are very important, because as a fraud analyst you have to write multiple reports, you have to communicate between teams via mail. Therefore, your writing skills will be very important. Last but not the least, team building, problem solving, decision making, and conflict resolution skills are equally important if you are going for a fraud analyst interview. Now, next, what is the requirement for fraud analyst? Even though there are AML rules, AML means anti-money laundering. So there are a lot of AML rules which are in place by banking organizations to prevent fraud. But there are certain limitation to AML. First of all know that all the transactions are not covered by AML, and small transaction of less than $1,000 or $100 are not being screened by AML tools, because it is below the threshold of money laundering. Therefore, fraudsters do what? They break the transaction into very small and then do the transaction. In such case, AML algorithm is not able to detect those and check and prevent fraud. So this is one of the major reason why even after AML fraud is happening. Other than that, only after fraud happens, it customer got to know that the account has been debited with certain amount or certain details has been changed. So the thing already happened. Only after that customer intimate the organization that fraud has happened. So therefore we can say fraud is a real time, because once fraud happened, customer receive a notification regarding it and he says that he has not done it. Therefore, and only after that AML regulations come and kick into play. So that's the reason I'm saying fraud happens in real life. Next, fraudsters are not foolish people. They are very smart people. They use latest software and latest tool to surpass banking algorithm and firewall. Therefore, even after being AML regulation in place, fraud happen. And last but not the least, sometimes bank customers share their details, confidential details like ID card details, SSN details, their verification codes with a third party in name of helping them or due to any reason. If such information is shared with fraudster, then nobody can stop a fraud. Therefore, in such cases, it is very difficult to detect a fraud, and often, as I told you, fraudsters commit crime in a very small denomination. So those denominations are very difficult to cover. Coming to the last question, that even after AI comes into play, how it will affect the job role of a fraud analyst? So first thing I want to clearly make you all, with my experience, what I have understood, once AI will come, people will lose their job. Giving an example, earlier in banks we used to have 3 to 4 cash counters. Few counters were for cash withdrawal, few way for cash deposit. But after a machine came into play, cash depositor withdrawal machine, the number of counters from 3 has got reduced to 1. The reason is that a machine has replaced the 2 counters. That's the reason if AI come into play, it will reduce the required workforce. It will do 3 people work on a single-handedly. So today or tomorrow if AI comes, job will be reduced. But we need to note few things. AI has its limitation. AI don't have a proper analysis, cannot do proper analysis or decision making. The reason is that I'm sure few of you have used a chat GPT name tool, which is being AI being used. So if we question them anything, they give us a few options, and we have to decide which option is correct or wrong. So decision making option will be always with human. Next, bank and card holder don't have much faith on AI to take their financial decisions. Since AI is not regulated, its source is not defined because some developer has coded, AI cannot be allowed to take financial decision in behalf of customers. Therefore, AI is not that much effective as we are thinking. So thank you for watching this video. This is the part 1 for fraud analyst. I will come up with the part 2, 3 and 4 describing various different type of fraud and process flow. So if you have any questions, please put it in the comment. I will be happy to answer that, which will be related to fraud analyst interview job profile. Thank you for watching this video.